30 years after marrying Maggie, I now sit at my desk, dwelling on the past, revisiting memories of our honeymoon and other special moments that have left indelible marks on my life. Memories of our time in Hawaii with Maggie evoke a sense of nostalgia and profound gratitude. The experience was magical, a captivating tale that will forever remain precious. From the outset, it felt as though we had stepped into another world, escaping the mundane routine, finding something difficult to describe. Hand in hand, we strolled along Waikiki Beach, feeling the grains of sand beneath our feet and listening to the soothing murmurs of the waves divulging secrets. The air was perfumed with the sweet scent of plumeria, a constant reminder of the love and tranquility surrounding us. However, it wasn't merely the breathtaking scenery that made our honeymoon remarkable. It was the moments we spent together. And now I am left with ashes and regret, owing to my daughter's persuasion to be unfaithful. Traversing verdant jungles and unearthing concealed waterfalls evoked feelings akin to uncovering Mother Nature's hidden treasures. Standing side by side, we were awestruck by the splendor and might encircling us. Our cliffside haven in Maui was breathtaking, offering vistas that seemed boundless. Each sunset transformed the sky with brilliant hues, and with arms entwined, we felt overwhelmed with love and adoration. Evenings were akin to a romantic symphony, featuring candlelit dinners on the beach under a canopy of stars, savoring fresh seafood and local delicacies. Yet, it was witnessing Maggie's love radiating from her eyes that made the experience truly enchanting. Hawaii transcended being a mere destination for us. It became the epicenter of our love narrative, filled with moments and dreams we cherished together. Recalling our honeymoon, I am reminded of the beauty and profundity of our bond, rekindling our affection, reinforcing our connection, and providing moments of sheer joy and tranquility. 30 years later, I found myself cherishing memories from our time in a lover's haven, filled with deep gratitude. One day, my secretary entered and noticed me gazing out the window with a content smile on my face. "Jason, did you win the lottery?" she teased. It dawned on me that I had been happy for 2 weeks straight. I confessed to her that my wife had shown an extraordinary level of affection and attentiveness, making me feel valued and loved once more. After years, it felt like a second honeymoon, and I eagerly anticipated spending more time with her, acting like a smitten teenager. I didn't want this happiness to cease. Despite having a strong marriage with Maggie for 30 years, the thrill can sometimes diminish into routine. However, Maggie had been unusually affectionate, seeking intimacy almost every night and revisiting aspects of our relationship that we hadn't explored in years. I never expected her affections to hold any significance beyond reigniting our marriage. I planned a surprise romantic evening by leaving work early with a grin. I acquired 2 dozen roses, her favorite wine, and chocolate-covered cherries. Tonight, I planned to express my love and surprise her by booking a 7-night cruise to commemorate our lasting affection. Upon entering the house via the garage, I ascended the kitchen stairs, but instead of finding my wife Maggie, our 29-year-old daughter Brandy was seated at the table. I smiled, kissed her forehead, and inquired, "Hey, sweetheart, where's your mom?" 2 weeks prior, Brandy had a discussion with her mother. "Mom, I have reservations about this. I deeply care for Dad, but I fear that if I proceed, I might cause him pain." "Brandy, your father cherishes you, and he will comprehend. You yourself admitted that you require something beyond what you've experienced before, and your father is not getting any younger. I am confident that he will appreciate your desires and permit you to indulge in this unique experience." "Mom, it's impossible for me to confront Dad and inform him that I'm going on a date with another man. I simply cannot do it." "Then let me handle it. At 7 in the evening, Alexander will meet you at the restaurant, and you should be prepared to depart by 6. Upon his arrival home, I'll clarify everything to your father for you. You've been expressing reservations about this date. It feels unsettling, and you're considering not attending. Given our relationship, how will you maintain eye contact with him for the next fortnight, knowing that you've agreed to a date with another man? Here's my advice: conceal the truth from him. Demonstrate your affection for these next 2 weeks, assuring him of his unfounded concerns. Once I disclose everything, he'll comprehend that it's merely about forming new friendships and some enjoyable moments, not love. Connect with him, captivate him, and when the situation arises in the evening, he'll embrace you warmly again. Your father cherishes you deeply and is willing to go to great lengths for your happiness. He has always provided what you desired, demonstrating his affection for you. This single date doesn't imply I'm abandoning your spouse for another man. A night out after 3 decades isn't an issue. I intend to demonstrate how amazing he is and express my love for him every evening before our special date. Upon my return, I'll strive to make him the happiest man on earth. Mother, help him feel cherished and valued. He's an exceptional individual who will provide us with a unique experience. Now, I must depart to prepare dinner for Mike. Thank you, dear. Give my regards to Mike. When can we expect grandchildren from you too? We have already discussed it and plan to start trying soon, Brandy replied before leaving. Maggie found herself solo in the art studio Jason had constructed for her behind their residence, facing his latest work. Lately, she wrestled with creativity, overwhelmed by thoughts of being with another man. Brandy's counsel resonated within Maggie, causing her brushes to dance across the canvas, infusing it with vivid hues and evocative sceneries. With newfound self-assurance, she deemed herself justified. Maggie found tranquility amid solitude, soothing her guilt. Though Jason may have initially been irritated, I am convinced that I can convince him of my genuine affection towards him, for he has been an outstanding husband and father. I aspire to be the best wife and express my love for him. That evening, in her endeavor to shower him with affection, Maggie donned his favorite baby doll nightgown after bathing, styled her hair, and applied makeup. Upon Jason's arrival home, Maggie, attired in the nightgown and heels, led him to the bedroom where she undressed him, taken aback by an overlooked demonstration of excitement. She delighted him below the waist, and his smile radiated warmth and joy, causing her to ponder why she hadn't done this earlier. Jason, this was the most delightful homecoming in a while. Why are we doing this, dear? I wanted to express your uniqueness and my affection for you. Did you appreciate it? I certainly did. It feels like forever since I've missed it. They moved toward the bed, exchanging passionate kisses for minutes. This was the most satisfying intimacy they had experienced in years, causing Maggie to reconsider her date with Alexander. In the coming weeks, their intimacy grew stronger, and Jason regained his former happiness, smiling, laughing, and showing affection once more. Maggie found herself feeling happier than she had been in a while, leading her to question if she still required the planned date night. She even discussed these positive changes with Brandy, pondering if they needed the scheduled encounter. Mom, this is wonderful, but let's not rush into canceling just yet. Let's see how the next 2 weeks progress. Just enjoy each other and see where things lead. There's no need to cancel just yet. In 2 weeks, we'll reevaluate, and you can terminate at the 11th hour if needed. I think Alexander will sympathize, but remember this might be a rare chance. If you agree, could you remind me about Alexander's predicament? Yes, he is your friend's father. I'd appreciate more details about him. Sure, Mom. When Mary, his wife, was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, he took a leave from work to be by her side until she passed away. She was his life's love, and after her death, he felt lost. He sunk into depression and withdrew from nearly everything except work. When we suggested he start dating again, he expressed his uncertainty about being with someone else. Hearing him made me emotional, and I believed I had a potential solution for both of you. So, Brandy shared with her mother the depth of Alexander's affection for her and his longing for companionship. She explained their exchange and Alexander's eagerness to meet Maggie. It appears your son thinks very highly of you, finds you attractive, and desires your company. I'll pass along your number so both of you can arrange a date. He's roughly 10 years younger than you, but I believe there's a strong connection waiting to be discovered between the two of you. He yearns for meaningful interactions and companionship, and I'm confident that you can support each other. The following day, Alexander called Maggie, and after an enchanting chat, he proposed she join him as his companion and spend the night with him. Upon seeing your beauty in the photo and expressing his eagerness for a date, She felt like a young girl again. The thrill of embarking on something novel and his advances made her heart flutter. She accepted the invitation and expressed her anticipation of their meeting. He offered to pick her up, but she preferred meeting at the restaurant instead. They exchanged messages daily, growing more playful as the date neared. On the given day, Maggie's texts would not pass even the most basic test of marital loyalty. Her mind was frequently preoccupied with anticipation, contemplating her actions. She made efforts to remember Jason, and each night she dedicated increasing enthusiasm to their intimate moments. Currently, Jason wore a perpetual smile, while Maggie grappled with an insatiable sexual craving. This new phase of excitement surpassed her wildest dreams. I adore my daughter and regard her as the most stunning girl worldwide. I felt immense pride in how she transformed into the woman she is today. If only I had spent more time with her during her childhood, but I strived to provide them a comfortable life and was generally available for her as much as possible. I smiled upon seeing her, yet I felt ashamed. "My dear, why are you here, and where's your mother?" I inquired. She observed me placing 24 roses, a bottle of wine, and a box of chocolates on the table. "Tonight, I have a unique surprise for your mother, which I'm eager to share with her." I extracted travel arrangements and cruise tickets for a 7-day voyage from my jacket pocket, revealing plans for a trip on the latest yacht. "I plan to take your mother on a week-long cruise, and I can hardly contain my excitement at seeing her reaction. Please don't reveal anything when she returns home. I want it to be a surprise." The moment she called me Daddy always brought a smile to my face, remembering her as a small girl seated on my lap. However, something felt amiss. Her eyes filled with tears, and she appeared anxious about the message she needed to convey. "Dad," she said, clearly troubled, "we need to talk." I couldn't help but feel concern. "What's wrong? Is there a problem with Mom?" "No, Mom is well. Please sit down and let me explain," she replied. A pause followed, and then she continued. "Dad, you know how deeply your mother cherishes you, and she has expressed her happiness about the two of you recently." "Yes, and I feel the same way about her, too. But there's something important I need to tell you. Because I want her to understand how valuable she is to me, I wanted to express it. However, upon seeing her tears, I learned that the news wasn't as anticipated." "I'm truly sorry, Dad," she said with sadness in her voice. "Mom went out on a date." I found myself speechless, trying to grasp her words. Tears streamed down her face as anger flared within me. "Brandy, what are you saying? Where is your mother?" I demanded, my voice echoing, making her shrink back. "Mom cherishes you very much, Dad, and I hope this doesn't upset you unduly. But Mom went out with another man tonight and won't return until tomorrow. She didn't want to hurt you directly, so I chose to inform you instead. It's just one night, and she'll be back tomorrow. Is this some kind of prank? I can't believe it. Your wife would never do something that could potentially harm me like this. We were inseparable and loving. Daughter, she loves you deeply. She merely sought a change, perhaps a different perspective, after 30 years of marriage. This doesn't alter her affection for you. You're not altering anything between you two, except possibly she adores you more for your understanding." This is what I found myself gazing at my daughter. "Brandy, why are you mixed up in this? Your mother shouldn't have pulled you into it, and I should be discussing this with her, not you. How did she get you involved in all this?" "Dad, Mom and I share a close bond, and we confide in each other. She mentioned things had cooled down between you two intimately, and she no longer felt desirable. A friend's father lost his wife some years ago, and he too yearned for companionship, so I essentially connected them." I surged up from my seat, causing it to topple. "Goodness gracious, are you telling the truth? You arranged a date for your mother with another man?" Shaking her head and focusing on the floor, she remained quiet. As I moved restlessly around the kitchen, I tried to make sense of the situation. "Brandy, for heaven's sake, respond," I bellowed, looming over her. "Did you orchestrate this encounter? Is that what you're saying? Are you implying my wife went on a date with your friend's father due to some involvement from you, causing me to spit out words in anger?" In response, I explained that yes, The situation sounds poor, but I acted out of affection for your parents. However, holy hell, I wonder what I have done. You speak of love for my friend's parents, yet what about the love I hold for you? Am I merely disposable, expected to accept any decision you make without question? Where is she now, and why did you say she won't return until tomorrow? To which I was told that they are at a restaurant together, and for one night. She will return tomorrow. And father, rest assured she loves only me. Over the past 2 weeks, she has expressed her love for me repeatedly and doesn't want to hurt me. It's just a date and a single night. She expected that I would understand and grant her this opportunity. I thought her recent affection was sincere for the past 2 weeks, but if it's just about easing her guilt now, that won't turn out well, I can assure you. Still tearful, she begged, "Dad, it's not like that at all." She didn't pretend or cause harm. In fact, she went out of her way to express her love for you. Dad, couldn't we give her one night? You know she loves you and can't imagine life without you. She even spoke of looking forward to your retirement and spending time with the grandkids' kids that Mike and I hope to have soon, and we need both of you. Funny how things work out. That ship sailed when she went on a date with someone other than me. Who is this man? He's Mary's father, and he's quite nice. I think you two would get along well, Dad. I believe you share many common interests. Of course, we could be the best of friends. So, you think I could befriend a man who knowingly dates a married woman, my wife? Perhaps we could be drinking companions, and you could lend your mom to him on weekends. Is that the role you envision for me? Brandy sank into her chair, recognizing a grievous error in her strategy. The harshness of your words, one she never wished to hear, rattled her deeply, instilling a shiver that ran through her as she cowered. After walking around the room, I found composure once more. Addressing my daughter with venom in my tone, both my pain and anger were clear, leaving her feeling guilty for her involvement. Hear me now, Brandy. Depart immediately. I require solitude to process what you two have done to me tonight. I don't wish to see or hear from you again. No phone calls, no messages ever. Your betrayal is unforgivable. You are as good as dead to me. Understand? I am no longer your father, and you are no longer my daughter. Leave my home and never address me again. Brandy cried openly, burying her face in her hands. Dad, please don't speak like that. I love you, and I want to stay here tonight. Mom and I had planned for me to remain with you. You've acted disrespectfully, making me doubt if you ever genuinely respected or loved me as your father. Despite my years of hard work to support both of you, this is the response I receive. It seems I'm merely a financial resource, not deserving of respect from either of you. Through tears and cries, she begged, Dad, I love you. Reconsider. Let Mom explain everything tomorrow. You've had 30 wonderful years together, and I know you love her. Grant her this one thing, and she won't leave you, Daddy. She loves you. She can have whatever she wants, but she'll never have me again. Forgiveness is beyond me. Everyone involved will face consequences, including the man who took my wife. Now go. You've shown your true self. Nothing changes for you too, Brandy. You're no longer my daughter. Leave. With tears streaming down her face, she departed the house in torment, experiencing a pain she had never known before. She hadn't expected her father to react so harshly. Had he really disowned her? For the first time, she questioned whether she had overstepped in assisting her mother with that plan. She knew he loved them both, but his anger was palpable, and she hoped for his forgiveness. After Brandy departed, I called Maggie's phone repeatedly, only to hear a voicemail each time. I left numerous messages begging her to return my calls and come home. When my calls went unanswered, even after some drinks, I switched to texting the same plea. Still no response. By 2 a.m., it struck me she wouldn't be coming back or answering my calls. Overwhelmed by self-pity, I gazed blankly at the TV, surrounded by increasingly depressing news. My world seemed to morph into a nightmare in an instant. Looking back on our 30-year marriage, the joyous moments, the accomplishments, the once frequent intimacy now turned into routine, I felt a pang of sorrow. Despite our sex life being routine, we had no issues and always cuddled after, losing ourselves in each other's arms post-intercourse. Every day we expressed love and rarely fought. However, recently those words seemed insignificant. Gazing at the art studio I constructed for Maggie, a space where she has channeled her creativity for 20 years, I recognized its value surpassed mine. Despite my pride in her accomplishments, I felt marginalized. Yet, her happiness was what mattered the most to me. The conversation with Brandy left me reeling. Learning she wished to be with another man took me by surprise, without any prior warning. Despite years of laboring to provide for my family, I failed to recognize her dissatisfaction with our marriage. It hurt to learn she confided in Brandy instead of discussing it with me, exacerbating my feelings of anger and humiliation. Pondering my life, residence, and future, I recalled the house and estate I inherited from my grandfather, which I owned individually prior to our marriage without any mortgage. This fact gave me pause for thought. Consumed by alcohol and anger, I concocted schemes to retaliate against Maggie for the pain she inflicted upon me. As I gazed upon her studio, a sense of power seemed to surge within me, possibly fueled by liquor or the wounds of deceit. Invigorated, I took decisive action. I paid repeated visits to our bedroom and collected all her possessions, transporting them to the studio. This included shoes, clothing, jewelry, and other items that accumulated in a central location. I then arranged photo albums, including our wedding photos, atop the collection. Recalling additional belongings in the attic, I fetched her wedding dress, baby clothes, and more, adding to the expanding pile. It struck me how much she had amassed throughout the years. I removed her photographs from the walls and incorporated them into the growing heap. This included sculptures, sketches, all her cherished possessions, now part of the constantly expanding mound. 5 m. My anxiety was palpable. I elected to wait till 6 m, offering her time to reappear or respond to my calls and messages. If there was no reply or she wasn't home, I would implement my plan. I meticulously verified the house, making sure all items crucial to her were in the studio. At 5:30, I retrieved a 20-liter gasoline can from the garage and headed towards the studio. Readying myself for 6 m simultaneously, I went online, canceled our shared credit cards, transferred funds, withdrew cash, packed bags, and loaded them into my truck, intending to be absent until legal matters were settled. Even in these final moments, I gave her another 5 minutes to return, but at 6:05, with my last glimmer of hope dwindling, I doused gasoline over a heap and along the studio walls. After a long sigh and brief contemplation, I struck a match, setting her belongings ablaze. The fire quickly spread, visible from the street. Before I could flee, her world was consumed by flames in a swift conflagration. While cruising on the highway, a poignant insight struck me, intensified by my troubled emotions. Overpowered by grief, tears streamed down. It became clear that my previously blissful marriage had shared the same destiny as the burnt-out studio. To my surprise, the fire from the back porch threatened the house as well. Fortunately, firefighters managed to control the inferno, sparing the house from total annihilation, although it incurred severe smoke damage, necessitating repairs before habitation was possible again. As I sought refuge, I checked into a motel along the highway, 90 miles distant from the remnants of my shattered marriage, opting for cash payment to evade recognition. Exhausted and overburdened, I switched off my phone and surrendered to sleep till midday. Upon awakening, I discovered numerous missed calls and texts from Brandy, Maggie, and the sheriff. Emerging from the Uber, I encountered Alexander at the restaurant. His youthful charm made me both anxious and elated, knowing he was waiting for me at the reception desk. He grinned upon spotting me, admiring my little black dress, black sheer stockings, and coordinating high heels. His glance lingered on my exposed cleavage, emphasized by my black bra. I had spent hours at the salon earlier in the day to make sure my hair and makeup were impeccable for this special occasion. I wanted it to be exciting, memorable, and without a single flaw for him. My partner seemed content with what he saw, and the way his attention shifted towards his growing masculinity confirmed his response. Feeling more assured as I recognized his approval, I greeted him with a gentle kiss. We began at the bar, perched on bar stools, and when I stood up, I noticed his gaze tracing down my legs, clad in nylon, to my panties. We exchanged smiles as he ordered our drinks. To avoid any disturbances, I switched off my phone. I was conscious that this night was a unique experience, and I resolved to cherish every moment of it. There was an undeniable chemistry between us, and we chatted as if we had been friends for years. I unexpectedly found myself touching him, an action I rarely took with anyone, even Jason. Determined to embrace my hidden self-assuredness, I decided to savor the moment. Following our second round, the considerate hostess advised us our table was ready and guided us to our seats. The meal was pleasurable, and I savored our conversation and company. When he asked if I wished to stay with him for the night, I took off my heels and playfully positioned my foot between his legs. His smile broadened upon noticing my red toenails peeking through the sheer fabric covering my foot, and he recommended it was time to leave. With joined hands, he guided me to his reserved hotel room. As the elevator doors unveiled themselves on the 14th floor, the truth of what I was embarking on struck me, and thoughts of Jason momentarily crossed my mind. Perceiving my hesitation, Alexander drew me near to his robust physique. Gazing intently at him, I received a passionate kiss that was unlike any other. In that instant, all thoughts of my husband and marriage dissipated. Tonight, I was his, willing to immerse myself in this encounter. As soon as we entered the room, he quickly undid my dress. Once it fell to the floor, he shed his own clothing and stood before me. He spun me around, complimenting my looks and removing my bra before laying me on the bed. The experience was so sensual and affectionate that I eagerly waited for what would happen next. Kneeling, I spent 10 minutes admiring his physique. Overwhelmed, he swiftly removed my pantyhose and insisted I wear my heels again, finding them attractive, which made me feel slightly seductive. Throughout our intimacy, he showered me with kisses, demonstrating exceptional skill. Briefly, I contemplated asking Jason to do this, it was so captivating. But no, comparing again, enough. Gazing intently into his eyes, he declared, "I love you, Maggie." This unsolicited proclamation resonated profoundly within me, stirring emotions akin to the sacred, causing tears of happiness to fall. We made love numerous times that night, and once more in the morning, each encounter as fervent as the last. The culmination of my sexual encounters, it was satisfying being with Alexander. Contentment filled me during this experience. However, thoughts of Jason occasionally surfaced, and I made an effort to concentrate on the man holding me close. Sunlight dappled through the curtains, casting a warm glow as he tenderly kissed me and ran his fingers through my hair. "Maggie," he whispered, echoing our conversation from the previous night. "I meant it. You're extraordinary, so sensual and attractive. I think I love you. Can we see each other again?" A wave of apprehension washed over me, and I replied softly, "Alexander, it was incredible, and you're an exceptional man, but I am happily married and cannot repeat this. It was a unique experience that I valued. You were outstanding in bed, a skillful lover, and every moment was precious. Maggie, ponder over your decision before you decline me. Your spouse appears unbothered, and I could bring joy into your life. Take some time to contemplate, please, before making up your mind." In response, she agreed to consider it, but mentioned this was the best she could offer at present. He deepened the kiss, enfolding me in his arms, and I yielded to his embrace. If not married to Jason, I'd be with Alexander instantly. However, Jason is my spouse, and I hoped he could forgive me for what transpired. After breakfast, we departed from the hotel, and as Alexander drove me home, I switched on my phone, which had been off since our date last night. To my astonishment, it was inundated with missed calls and messages. Among them, Jason's message struck a chord, causing a pang of guilt to hit me sharply. The understanding that his pain, for which I was culpable, made me tearful. Before I could progress to the next message, my phone rang as we were entering my neighborhood. My child was frantically asking about my location. I told them I was almost home, but learned of a fire at our house instead. It seems they had been trying to contact me all night, as my phone was off. My attention then turned to their father, who, according to my child, was nowhere to be found and not responding to calls. Worried, I promised to call back once I arrived, disturbed by the evolving situation. Upon turning the corner onto my street, I spotted a fire truck and police in front of our house. There appeared to be no damage at the front, so I asked the firefighters about it. They confirmed that I was Mrs. Spencer. My companion replied. "Yes," he said. "The house has been saved." The neighbors watched me closely as I stood with an unfamiliar man, so he added, "I'm Maggie Spencer." Just the back porch was ruined, but you can't stay until specialists handle the internal soot from your house. Most of the destruction was to the small cottage hidden behind your property. I'm afraid it's completely gone. Alexander helped me sit on the curb when my legs gave out. "Is my studio damaged?" he asked. "I apologize, Mrs. Spencer. All that remains is smoldering ashes. We'll try to discover the fire's origin, but for now, a detective needs to ask you some questions." I hurried to the house's rear before the sergeant could question me. He caught up with me standing beside the ruin of my cherished possession. I instantly realized that Jason was responsible, seeking revenge for my actions. "Mrs. Spencer, what happened here?" asked Sergeant Wilson. "I wasn't there last night, and I have no information regarding anything." He inquired about Alexander being my husband. I clarified that he was just a friend. A blush of embarrassment stole over me as the sergeant gave me a discerning glance and inquired about my husband's whereabouts. I confessed ignorance. Upon questioning where I had been the previous night, I hesitantly disclosed that I was with Alexander at the Central Hilton Hotel. The glances exchanged between the sergeant and his colleague made me understand the gravity of my predicament. I had just acknowledged not spending the night with my husband, who too had gone missing. Now, the detective had queries. "Mrs. Spencer, are you and your husband separated? Do you know where he was last night?" I responded in the negative, stating our union as happy. However, this statement sounded ridiculous after revealing my time spent with another man. "Have you any idea where I can find him?" "No, he's not responding to calls." "We need to speak with him, so if you manage to contact him, please provide him my number," he told me as he handed over his business card. I was trembling with a mix of anger and fear. Anger at the loss of my sanctuary and all the work I've accumulated throughout the years. It was all destroyed permanently. Fear, contemplating that Jason could be so enraged to carry out such actions and what it would mean for my marriage. I needed to communicate with him immediately. I reached out to Brandy. "Brandy, can you tell me your father's whereabouts?" "No, we haven't spoken since last night." "Why didn't you stay with him as planned, Mom?" He had expelled me and declared that I was no longer his child. Upon entering the house, I observed smoke damage on the walls and detected a repugnant odor lingering within our home. It was clear that life under these circumstances was untenable. As I moved around our home, I determined to collect some clothing and personal items for a short while. Yet, upon entering the bedroom, I was struck with alarm as everything was absent, causing me to feel an overwhelming panic. Upon reflection, I realized that all my clothes, footwear, and personal belongings had disappeared. My heart sank at this realization. I scoured my nightstand for my wedding rings, but they were nowhere to be found. Why had I forgotten to take them with me? What had possessed me? If Jason saw the rings on the dresser, he might have thought I'd left him and our marriage. How short-sighted and selfish of me. Overwhelmed by panic, I frantically searched every room in the house, but found that all my possessions were gone. A terrible suspicion crossed my mind. Had he actually destroyed everything? Was there nothing left? In a hurry, I exited the house to revisit the studio and closely inspect what remained. In the wreckage, I found damaged photo frames and tattered clothing, indicating that Jason had not just accepted my departure, but eradicated everything meaningful to me, thus eliminating any trace of me from his life in one decisive stroke. I phoned Brandy sobbing, sharing what happened and expressing my need for a place to stay. Alexander promptly offered me shelter, but he was the last person I wished to encounter. I politely refused, expressing my need for solitude and asking him to leave. Taken aback by my abruptness, he departed, leaving me to mourn my actions and the man with whom I had spent the night. Although I acknowledged my role in it, I couldn't help but blame him for my self-centered act of betrayal when the real fault lay with me. Brandy, your father is gone. Mom, don't say that. Dad loves you. Sweetheart, he destroyed everything, my clothes, paintings, and studio. Everything. He left me with nothing, not even a roof over my head. He won't answer my calls or return them. I inflicted the greatest harm. I can't fault him for it. My actions were inexcusable. I shouldn't have gone on that date. I should have simply communicated with him. We could have resolved issues, but my selfishness pushed him away. If I were in his position, I wouldn't be able to forgive me either. Now I find myself homeless and penniless. Mom, don't feel guilty. We both share the blame. You can stay with us until your house is repaired. We'll buy you new clothes this afternoon and get you settled in by evening. Brandy, all my artworks, paintings, and sculptures are gone. 3 decades of marriage and 2 decades of artistic creations were wiped out, leaving me utterly forsaken. I see no reason to live anymore. Maggie broke down in tears as passers-by looked on from the street. Oh God, Dad's calling. I'll call you back. Barely managing the buttons, trying desperately to answer the call, she came close to collapsing, but at the last moment, she connected. Jason, is that you? Hi, Maggie. What's your state, Jason? Can you return home? There's something crucial we need to discuss. I've already learned everything from your daughter, not mine. You both have become irrelevant to me, and this might be our last interaction. Jason, kindly refrain from such statements. I still care for you. This is something you should be aware of. Regarding the studio, it no longer exists. Did you cause this? Maggie, it wasn't me, but your actions led to its destruction. The damage was not physical, but it was caused by the fire of deceit and betrayal that you ignited. When I saw your wedding rings cast aside and you embracing another in my heart, you ceased to exist. Your actions are unforgivable, and Brandy's participation only adds to the indignity and bewilderment. It's over. On Monday, I will consult with lawyers to set things in motion. Jason, can we have a conversation to resolve this? You can't end our 30 beautiful years like this. Maggie, it's us talking, and it's not me who ended our 30 beautiful years. You conspired against me, feigned affection for 2 weeks to assuage your remorse, and then betrayed me with the help of your daughter. No one could tolerate or pardon such treachery and deceit. It was malevolent, and I wish you spend the rest of your days regretting it. This is our final conversation. You can reach me via my attorney's details included in the divorce decree. Farewell, Maggie. Jason, no, wait, Jason. Jason had disappeared, along with the world I adored. Brandy arrived as I was on the phone trying to contact Jason, who had already ended the call. We consoled each other, weeping over our grief. Eventually, we understood that we couldn't remain in the rubble of my house while authorities conducted their investigation, so we went to Brandy's place. Upon arrival, she informed Mike about everything, startling him with the details. Brandy attempted to clarify the situation, but when Mike learned that she had arranged a date between her mother and her friend's father, he felt shocked and enraged. How could you arrange a date for your mom with another man, knowing it would leave Dad alone? You should have understood that he wouldn't approve of such a thing. What kind of woman goes on a date with someone else while her partner is still around? Was this your plan when we grow older to betray me as you betrayed Dad? He was such an admirable man, and you and Mom were his entire universe. What have you done, Brandy? Let me inform you, you've destroyed a good man and pushed him into doing unthinkable things. I can't put into words how disillusioned I am with you, Brandy. I'll reach out to him and apologize for your recklessness. When everything settles down, we need to discuss our future together. Having children with you is on hold until I determine where you stand. To be frank, I don't share your values and won't tolerate such betrayal. Her fury startled her, taken aback by his insensitivity towards her mother's predicament. It was merely a single date following 3 decades of matrimony. What was the big deal? Later, she understood that the underlying problem stemmed from the dissolution of her parents' marriage, her father's demise, and her mother's broken joy. Soon, they would all bear the brunt of her decisions. 5 taxing days elapsed before I returned home to evaluate the aftermath. I opted out of submitting an insurance claim to forestall additional expenses. In my legal consultation, I unequivocally stated that the house belonged to me, not open for dispute. Maggie could lay claim to half our savings, but no child support was forthcoming. If she resisted, I threatened to sue her for adultery, disclosing her affair with her daughter's friend's father. Divorce proceedings were underway. Additionally, I sought counsel on potential criminal arson charges, only to learn that without an insurance claim, the case would hardly progress unless a false report was made. A former schoolmate of Brandy phoned her upon seeing me re-enter our home. Hurrying towards me, Brandy found me examining the house damage. Upon hearing the front door open, I recognized her voice calling out for me. Ignoring her, I continued my assessment, glancing outside at the remains of Maggie's shelter now reduced to ashes. A smile tugged at my lips. Finding me in a bedroom, Brandy rushed over, enveloping me in a hug. "Dad, I'm so sorry. Please forgive us. We love you." I remained unresponsive, engrossed in evaluating the damage. "Brandy, I can't forgive either of you. I told you not to speak to me again. Leave me be and give me space. You claim to be my father, yet expect forgiveness? Listen, you're no longer my dad, just a treacherous individual who shattered my heart. Now leave me alone." "Father, Mother relies on you. She resides with us, mourning your absence and yearning for your pardon for her error. She weeps constantly and longs to ask for your forgiveness. May I come to our house so I can see her?" "Absolutely not. After she went on a date and chose to stay with another man, our marriage fell apart. She even abandoned her wedding rings, signaling the end of our union. It's over, and I won't communicate with her again. You can contact me through my attorney instead. I'll obtain a new phone number today. In the meantime, you should depart and be with your unfaithful mother. Are you prepared to discard 3 decades of joy with Mom? No, that's not me. Your mother tossed away those 3 decades as soon as she removed her rings and went to her lover. It was you and your mother who destroyed my 30 years of happiness, and for that, I'll never forgive or forget. Now, leave my house." For the second time, Brandy exited her childhood home in tears. Her father's words, declaring she was no longer his daughter, were shattering. Despite numerous therapy sessions, she couldn't expunge the hurt caused by those words. The next day, Maggie was served divorce documents, understanding that her affair had ended her marriage. She endeavored to rationalize, sought counseling, and aimed to discuss things with Jason, but all attempts proved futile. He severed ties with her and Brandy. Eventually, Mike managed to speak to Jason, expressing frustration and dismay over their actions. He reconsidered the idea of having children due to Bry's infidelity and is now attending couples therapy to save his marriage. Maggie aspired to return home once Jason had renovated it, but the divorce decree stated it was his. She received half their savings and a $3,000 million monthly child support payment for 10 years, although he refused to comply. Now, she must secure employment after 30 years of depending on Jason. She shifted from her daughter's residence to a modest apartment close to the city center, working at an art gallery to make ends meet. Maggie's artistic independence was now under threat. She wouldn't linger in Jason's charming studio any longer or relax near her art projects, taking in the lake view through the large windows that her husband had bestowed upon her. Time would be swallowed by work, leaving no moments to reclaim her past life. All her spare moments evaporated, along with luxury and marital harmony, all due to a single imprudent night with another man. There were never enough tears to erase the pain inflicted by that one mistake. No, Jason, her devoted husband, would no longer speak to her. The news that he had disowned their daughter pierced Bry's heart. She plunged into depression over her parents' separation. To salvage her own marriage, now crumbling, she sought assistance from a therapist. Months passed, and the house was repaired. Jason adhered to court-ordered payments and then sold the house. Suddenly, following the sale, Maggie arrived for reconciliation, only to find a young couple at the door. "Can we assist you?" the woman inquired. "I'm trying to locate Jason Spencer. Is he present?" "Regrettably, He sold us this house and departed for a new journey. He was very considerate. Are you Maggie? Affirmative, that's me. It appears there's an envelope for you. Yes, I'll go through it later. Farewell and enjoy your new dwelling, Maggie said, tears trickling as she understood she wouldn't see Jason again, lamenting the love she let slip away. Back in her solitary apartment, she opened the letter with shaking hands. Maggie, 3 decades, and I could have utilized that time more effectively. For instance, watching paint dry or counting the grass blades on our lawn. It's amusing, really, how I once believed I wasn't the husband you required. Evidently, what you desired was a circus, not a companion, given your actions. You wanted more? Well, kudos on discovering it beyond our marriage. Bravo. Those 2 weeks you played the dutiful wife again? That should have been a warning sign of what followed the prelude to your grand deception. You skillfully deceived me, putting on an Academy Award-worthy act. While I was preparing a special occasion to cherish our relationship, you were celebrating yourself with another. You didn't merely end us, Maggie, but obliterated us completely. In a generous move for both of us, I've vanished. Yes, I've abandoned the circus to the jesters and ventured into new territories. Don't even think about tracking me down. I'm camouflaged beneath fresh cities and unfamiliar faces, none of which resemble yours or our children's. Rebirth is on the horizon, indeed, this time in a place devoid of drama. As for our house, view it as another casualty in your self-centered warfare. It's been sold. Perhaps its new owners can purify it of the scent of deceit. If you seek closure, consider this letter. Package it neatly, tie it with a bow, and store it away in that closet where you keep all your poor choices. Cheers to your fresh starts, Maggie. May they be as transient as your allegiance. Farewell. From the one who once cherished you, G.S. Overwhelmed by tears, she spent the night crying, clutching her knees tightly after reading his note. The joy and memories of their beautiful moments together with Alexander had vanished, replaced by regret and sadness. At 52 and alone, she acknowledged that her future without Jason appeared bleak. She traded her opulent lifestyle for a fleeting moment of recklessness. Jason confronted Alexander late in the night as he was preparing to leave for his new home in Ecuador. Upon opening the door, Jason stormed in, exposing himself as the husband of the woman Alexander had taken from him. Trying to defend himself, Alexander argued that he believed Maggie was fine with it and wouldn't have pursued her otherwise, but all attempts at justification were futile. Jason paid no attention to his words. The rage, anger, and pain he had harbored for months found an outlet in the man before him. The altercation was swift. As Jason reached for a crowbar, Alexander's life changed drastically within seconds. Prior to boarding an Uber for his international departure, Jason cautioned Alexander about the perils of engaging with a married woman. By the point Alexander arrived at the emergency room and disclosed the attack, Jason was already nestled in his seaside dwelling in Manabi, starting afresh without his former ties and family. It took detectives 2 weeks to ascertain that Jason had departed the country, leading them to understand they couldn't pursue him unless he returned. Even if they traced him, Ecuador doesn't extradite for assault charges. Alexander experienced a grueling fortnight in the hospital and several months of rehabilitation to regain his mobility with new knees. Tragically, the 25 stitches spanning his face would forever serve as a reminder of that night and the married woman. Uncertain about his future, he knew his old life was irrecoverable due to the 2 women who manipulated him into stealing another man's spouse. He never reconnected with Maggie or Brandy. Brandy's spouse, Mike, considered leaving her due to the incident, but a psychologist helped Brandy recognize her mistakes. She swore to remain faithful to Mike and their potential family. Mike hesitated for 2 years before deciding to have children, wanting assurance that his wife wouldn't deceive him, as she had with her own father. Adhering to his vow and her guilt, Jason severed all ties with Brandy. Irrevocably losing her father's affection was the result of Brandy's actions. Upon learning about Alexander's assault, Maggie and Brandy felt shattered and plagued by guilt for their part in the violence, exacerbating the remorse and anguish they had already inflicted upon Jason and the disintegration of their family. This was another stark reminder that their choices often led to consequences they hadn't anticipated. They realized that their naive assumption that a single indiscretion would keep Maggie happy and preserve their life was completely unfounded. Their error revealed that true happiness lay far beyond their grasp in reality. Their father and husband's absence left them perpetual sorrow, a burden they'd bear throughout their lives. Overwhelmed by sadness and the passage of time, she never found another companion and lived a life marked by loneliness and regret. Her dreams of growing old with Jason and spending time with grandchildren faded into distant memories. After Jason ceased child support payments upon leaving the country, her financial security was precarious, forcing her to work to survive. Tears became her nightly routine. Recently, I have over $750,000 from selling my house and savings accumulated over 3 decades. Using this wealth, I've bought a new home in Ecuador, looking forward to spending the next 30 years in comfort and tranquility here. The young, attractive local women value American generosity, and I enjoy their company. 6 months after that tragic night, sitting on the beach across from my new home in Puerto Lopez with a cold beer, I understand that divorce is an inevitable part of life. It's acceptable to move on. It's acceptable to be solo. However, it's not acceptable to remain in a place lacking respect and affection. I will take steps to avoid finding myself in such circumstances once more.